and welcome to another glorious episode of Adventures with Alchemy. Guys, we're like 3 days away from Thanksgiving. So I'm in the midst of doing Thanksgiving preparations, and of course I'm the one that cooks the dinner, so I figured why not integrate that into the show a little bit. One of the things I love to do every year is a apple glazed ham. Yes, I know Thanksgiving is turkey, but I'm not a huge fan of turkey, and neither are my kids, and neither is my wife. So we like to have ham. Now, when we have company, we also include a turkey, but for us, we do ham. This year, we're all staying home. It's just us, the family, just the kids, wife, and me. So we're just gonna do a ham. It's already been cooked. It's a spiraled ham. I just went to the store and grabbed one. I mean, we don't need to get too fancy, but the glaze. Now, the glaze is a whole nother story. For the glaze, I like to take fresh apples. I mean, it's all about the fresh stuff with me, okay? Fresh apples, some red, some green. In this case, to be exact, we're gonna use some Gala, we're gonna use some Red Delicious, and we're gonna use some Fuji apples. And of course, some of our green, right? And then what I did was I juiced them all. You could put them in your I put them in a juicer. You could also put them in a press, and you get your fresh apple juice. From there, you add a little cinnamon, a little brown sugar, you simmer a little bit, maybe some clove and allspice, and you get this. This is apple cider, homemade. I love making this stuff. You can make syrups with it. You can drink it. You can do all kinds of things. You can make hot toddies with it. But most of all, one of my favorite things to do is, of course, to make a glaze with it for my ham. So, what do we have here for our mise en place? We have homemade apple cider. Now, if you don't want to go through all this trouble, go to the store and get yourself some Simply Apple or right now is the season to find apple cider in big jugs. What you don't want to get is that Martinelli's carbonated apple cider. That's not apple cider, that's carbonated apple juice. It is delicious, but it's not apple cider, okay? And just so you know, the difference between apple cider and fresh pressed apple juice is that one actually has spices in it. One has cinnamon, has nutmeg, there's usually some spices involved and a little bit of cooking involved. Whereas one is just fresh pressed apple juice. I mean, they're both great, but let's not confuse the two. So, mise en place time. So we have our apple cider. We have 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. We have 3 tablespoons of mustard powder. This is actually Coleman's mustard, one of my favorites. And here we have some wildflower honey, which is amazing. I get it at the farmer's market. It's by Harris Family, apiaries. Anyway, I have it sitting in some hot water so that it just pours out easier. That's all. Little pro tip. You want your honey to pour out smoother? Put it in a little hot water. Let it sit for a bit. That way you don't have to pop it in the microwave and possibly burn it or whatever. So, okay. So, take your cider. Just pour it on in. You want to use the whole thing. You have your cider vinegar. See how easy that comes out? You don't feel like you're wasting so much? Where's our mustard? So yeah, stir all that goodness in. Get yourself a whisk and just whisk it all in. Make sure there's no lumps, there's no clumps of mustard in there. Nice and smooth, all of it. Now, let's turn on our heat. I'm gonna bring this up to about 350. And I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I don't want this to burn, so I don't want this to get to a boil, essentially. I want it to just simmer. If you find that it is not thickening to your liking, and that it's reducing too much and still not thickening to your liking, add a little cornstarch to it, okay? A little slurry, add water and cornstarch together, stir it up until it's a slurry, and put it in there. And what I mean is like 2 teaspoons, 2 teaspoons to maybe like a half a cup of water, or even a quarter cup of water, depending on how much you're making. For this, I would use a quarter cup of water with 2 teaspoons of cornstarch and make a slurry. And just, but that's if and only if this is not coming out to that glazed consistency that you want. So while you're waiting for this to finish, you take, let's say maybe about a mason jar's worth, and pour it into your roasting pan. Take your ham and you want to put it face side down on like a rack. Not the rack that does this. You want a flat rack. You know, you can get them in the store. Just put them in there, put it on top so that it's about an inch, maybe 2 or 3 inches from the bottom. You don't want it touching the liquid. You just want it slightly above. So you pour your liquid in, cover it with some heavy duty foil, and pop it into your oven for 90 minutes at about 235, 240 degrees. Okay, looking for an internal temp of about 150. In fact, cook it to about 145 and just let the carryover temp do the rest. The carryover cook do the rest. It's already cooked. Remember that. The ham is, you bought it from the store and it's a spiraled ham. It's already cooked. You're just warming it up essentially. So it doesn't dry out, follow the steps that I'm giving you. They probably will be written on the thing that peels off. Take that little yellow packet of powder that comes with it and just throw it in the trash, because what I'm giving you is gonna be so much better if you do this, okay? This is gonna be for your roasting pan, and then when you're done, this will be reduced to a glaze. Yeah. So yes, there you have it. This is what it looks like from the beginning. This is what it looks like after, and I hope you like it. Please try it at home. Let's move on to some cocktails. So, are we thirsty? I got a good one for you. So, as you can see, we have kind of a theme going on here. A little bit of a theme? So, make all this cider, and you're using it for your ham, and you're using it to drink. So, what else are you gonna use it for? Of course, throw some booze in it. Make a cocktail. So, we are gonna make one. Beautiful bourbon drink. You know what else reminds me of the fall and what reminds me of this season is maple syrup. And maple syrup from Vermont particularly. I love Vermont maple syrup. This comes from, well, Vermont, but it comes from a particular tree called the Runamok. And it is quite lovely. It's got a nice rich flavor. You can get everything from amber to dark. This is kind of in the medium, and it tastes like a richer, more kind of a, I want to say kind of a caramel taste. It's very, very nice. And here we have our cider. We have 3 ounces of cider. We're going to use 0.75 or 3/4 ounces of fresh lemon juice. We are going to use a 1/2 ounce of maple syrup, and we're going to use 2.5 ounces of bourbon. Okay, so let's get started. Let's start with our 3/4 ounces of lemon juice, and we'll just add our pre-measured 3 ounces of apple cider, 1/2 ounce of our maple syrup. Now, there are some maple syrups that are bourbon barrel aged maple syrups. They are very nice, and I highly recommend them. For this particular cocktail, because it's served the way it's served, I don't want it to be overly dense. I don't want it to be so deep that you don't taste some of the flavors that I'm trying to present for you. So, but I do recommend that you taste it. For this particular cocktail, you're going to want to serve it in either a snifter or a stemless wine glass. I'm going to use the latter. All right, so fill it to the top with some fresh ice. This is also good with crushed ice, but I think crushed ice kind of waters it down a little too fast. So yeah, just pour it over that fresh ice. There you go. If you want to just kind of roll the rest of that little bit of ice in there. Top it off with a nice fresh apple wheel. Your favorite straw. Enjoy. Oh. Tastes like the fall. It's amazing. Guys, please leave a comment, hit a like, share this video, and more than anything, most importantly, have a very happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy.